Hey peeps, it's Jedd here from Disrupt Tutoring, and as always, it's such a pleasure to join you. Today we're going to deal with some algebraic equations, and with that in mind, let's get straight into it. Right, so in 1.1.1, what do we have? We've got a quadratic equation, and we know exactly what to do here. We need to do some factorizing, and we're going to use our trinomial method. So when we do that, we open up our two brackets, equals 0. And then we need to look at that sign. That sign is minus, so it means we're going to have two different signs in the brackets. We know we're going to have an x at the front because there isn't a coefficient in front of the x. And then we need to find two numbers that multiply to 12 but subtract to 1. 4 and 3 comes to mind. The 4 is going to go where the positive is because it's the bigger number. So that becomes 4 and 3. And therefore, either x plus 4 equals 0 or x minus 3 equals 0, and that means x is equal to minus 4 or x is equal to 3, and that gives us 3 marks for that question, and well deserved. Good job. Right, to give myself some space for the next question, I'm going to erase that first one. Alright, 1.1.2. okay, so we've got the root of 2x plus 1 equals x minus 1. Now guys, don't be freaked out by the square root sign, okay? We do the exact same thing we do in every single equation. We need to make sure we get the x by itself and try and solve for it, okay? And the way we do that is we always do the opposite of the things that look like they're blocking our way to getting to the x. At this point, it's the square root that's blocking our path. So I'm going to get rid of that square root. And to do that, I'm going to square the left-hand side. But because I've squared the left-hand side, I need to square the right-hand side as well. Okay? So that's going to leave me with, so the square root cancels with the square. And that's going to give me 2x plus 1. And then the x minus 1 squared, I can use my little shortcut where I square the first term, I square the last term, and then I multiply the 2 and I double them, which is going to give me 2x, and that plus was a mistake. It needs to be a minus because we have multiplied the two terms and we've got a negative 1 there. Okay, so remember that's a minus. Right, moving into our next step, we need to, because we've got an x squared over there, we know this is probably going to be a quadratic equation. So I'm going to move everything over. So these two terms I'm going to move over to this side. So I'm going to have a 0 left. And then I'm going to have x squared. This minus 2 goes across, becomes a negative 2x, which is going to give me negative 4x. And then this plus 1 moves across and becomes a minus 1. And the two ones therefore cancel out. So we can just cross those two out and they cancel out. Right, so we still need to try and get this x by itself. We've still got a squared, which means there's probably going to be two answers for our x. So what we're going to do is, it may look like a difference of two squares, but there isn't really because we've got this x over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull out our common factor and we're going to be left with x minus 4. So now we know either x equals 0 or x minus 4 equals 0. So that would mean x equals 4. Now remember, because we had to square this square root, there may have been a problem in that process. So before we're able to conclude, we need to make sure that these solutions are solutions. The way we do that is we're going to take this x equals 0 and we're going to plug it back in. So if we put this x equals 0 back into our expression over here, okay, we would have 2 times 0, which is 0 plus 1. That's going to give us the square root of 1, which is going to be 1. So we'll have 1 on the left-hand side. And if we put it in on the right-hand side, we'll have 0 minus 1 is minus 1. So we'll have 1 is equal to minus 1, which makes no sense. Therefore, we can conclude that that solution is not applicable. Now let's check if x equals 4 is applicable. So if we put 4 back in here, it's going to be 2 times 4 gives us 8, plus 1 gives us 9, and then the square root of 9 gives us 3. On the right-hand side, if we put the 4 into the x, it's 4 minus 1, which gives us 3. and that means that x equals 4 is definitely a solution, because the left-hand side equals the right-hand side when we plug it back into our original equation. A very special thank you to our sponsors for making this video possible. We hope it helped you out. Read all about them in our description below. Remember to visit our website for more of these epic tutorial videos. If you can't find the video that answers your question, send us the question and we'll respond with a personalized video just for you. Until the next time, stay epic.